Roth IRAs can be a great place to save money, and the earlier you start, the better off you are. In today's episode of Friends Talk Financial Planning, we're going to talk about how you can have Roth IRAs set up for your kids and grandkids who are under 18. And by the end of this episode, you're going to know what the rules are for setting those up, how to fund them, and what the drawbacks and the pros are of that, and how you might implement this in your situation. So I'm John Shear, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan-Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. And John, before we jump into Roth IRAs for kids, we want to remind people to please subscribe. It helps us with YouTube credibility.
Yeah, very
All
good.
right, so John,
Into Roth IRAs. And we've done episodes before on Roth, but just as a big picture, I think it might be useful to talk about what are we talking about? Why Roth IRAs?
Right.
Money goes into the Roth IRA, there's no tax benefit, right? No deduction. When it grows, there's no taxes. When the money comes out for retirement, typically, no taxes. Right. So all tax-free growth. That's sort of the secret sauce to these things. Why is it appealing, right? And then we get questions anyway in our office about, hey, now I've got my child is 14 or 16 or 18, and they're starting to make some money. And then like, hey, I know this Roth IRA thing is really good. Can we do a Roth IRA for the kids? And the answer to that is yes. Actually, we'll get that question a lot of times like, hey, my kid's 14, whether they have a job or not, can I do a Roth IRA for them? And the answer is yes, but there's some qualifications, right? And I think we've identified either three or four different qualifications. The big one that we have to have across the board is the kid has to have earned income.
Right. Exactly. So they have to be making some money. Right.
So you can't, if my 14-year-old does not have a job, I can't just put money into a Roth IRA for her, right? It doesn't work that way. So you have to have earned income. What does that mean when you talk about earned income, though?
Well, what about, it's got to be on the books, right? It's like, so it's got to be, it can't be under the table. It's got to be above the table. Here.
I love that, above the table. It's exactly right, though, right? We think, oh, yeah, he babysits, she babysits, they got a paper route, those sorts of things. If you're just getting cash, we pay our babysitter in cash, right? That money, and it's not, that's under the table, it's not taxable as income to them, right? Because they're under limits. This is not like we're doing shenanigans by paying our babysitters things, right? But it also isn't reportable as income, and so there are ways that you could maybe keep track of that. But the easy things are, when your child gets their first job, right? When they're working at, whether it's McDonald's or wherever kids are going to work these days, they work down at the grocery store, right?
I used to caddy
at the golf course, right? So I'm getting a paycheck, right? And at the end of the year, just like everybody gets their W-2s for their regular full-time jobs, you get a W-2. If your child has a W-2, whatever that number there is, and usually box 1, 3, and 5 are all the same, and on the W-2s that you get at tax time, that's the amount of money that you can put into a Roth IRA.
Right.
Now, the Roth IRAs have limits just like regular IRAs do, right? You can't put $25,000 into them, right? There's limits as to what you can put in. So you can put in up to that limit of IRA contributions, but it's limited by how much you earn. Right? So if you earn $500, and I would say I'm talking about your your grandchild earns $500, you can put $500 into a Roth IRA. They make $1,000, you can put $1,000 in, right? Up to that cap. So it's just a matter of, in a lot of cases, we'll have parents and grandparents that say, well, listen, my grandchild made this much money last year. Can we fund a Roth IRA for them? Absolutely. Let's make that gift. What are the drawbacks to this is we got to keep in mind that this is a gift to kids, right? This is not some way that I can save money over here in this left-hand pocket and kind of sneak around. I'll fill up my Roth IRA and do theirs. And no, you're making a gift to the child. So does this come in place of your retirement savings? No. What happens if you don't have enough of an emergency fund built up yet? No, right? All those things that play a factor. Where does it make sense, though, is we see folks where grandma and grandpa would like to make a gift to the kids, right? I'd like to give money to the family. Mom and dad, listen, I've got extra money. We're filling up our IRAs. We're filling up our 401ks. We've got some extra money in a brokerage account. Geez, some of that money is going to go to the kids anyway. Roth IRA can be a great place for that.
Okay, so let's talk about Roth IRAs versus other savings vehicles. Okay, so Roth IRA versus 529.
Yeah, great.
What are your thoughts?
So 529, it's similar, but maybe different kinds of apples,
Right.
though, right? 529 plans need to be used for higher education.
Right.
And think about what's the benefit of a 529 plan, right? You put money in, and then when it grows, if you take it out for college or other school, you don't have to pay taxes on the growth.
Right.
Right? So that's the real magic sauce to the 529
Right.
plans. So those are a great deal. I mean, it totally makes sense, but it's not like there's some magic. Sometimes people think, oh, I need to put money into my 529 so I can pay for college. Like, no, it's not just that. And think about who we're talking about here with these kids that are eligible for Roth. What's the one major factor? Need to have earned income.
Yeah.
Who has earned income? Not your 5-year-olds, generally
Right.
speaking, right? Probably not your 9-year-olds. Once you get at some level, right? 10, 12, 14. Hey, now if I'm a 14-year-old, how much runway is there before we're going to need to use that money if it's for college?
Right.
Right? 3, 4, 5 years? Not that it's wrong to do 529, but
Right.
the bang for the buck, all we're doing is getting the growth that comes out free. So as you look at that, it's not like 529s, in my opinion, are wrong, but it's, well, what's the delta on that? What's the difference? And, oftentimes there's already money that's set aside when people are saying, listen, I want to give money to the grandkids. I want to give money to the kids. Many times they've already done college savings, right? And even if they haven't done, you go, what's the difference in having a few years of growth tax-free? The Roth can be a good place for that, in my mind, anyway.
Right. With a 529, you have more control over it. So if the child doesn't use it for education, then you can use it for another child. So I would say it's not a pure gift like
That's
the
right.
Roth is.
Well, and the other thing, you bring up a great point in that 529s, I can open up a 529 for my child, but I still control that, right? They're the beneficiary, and I can give it to a sibling or a cousin, but it's not my kid's money, right? If the money goes into a Roth IRA, once they get to be adults, the money's theirs, right?
And
so you have to factor that into your thinking on things, absolutely.
Roth IRA versus I-bonds.
Well, and that's a great thing. We love I-bonds, right? I mean, it's a great interest rate, but we're sort of talking apples and oranges.
Right.
And again, so we're talking about something that's in a retirement plan that can grow tax-free.
Which is the Roth.
Right. I-bonds are in a taxable, right? They're taxable investments that will grow, and it's an interest rate. So an I-bond isn't, and we get this question. This is a great question. An I-bond is an investment. A Roth IRA is a tax bucket that holds investments in it. Right? So it really is sort of two different things. And I'll go back to what we talked about at the beginning. If it makes sense for you, mom and dad, or grandma and grandpa, to have an I-bond in your portfolio, then do that. If it makes sense that for your situation, to gift money to your grandkids, doing the Roth IRA is one of the leading opportunities for that. So I don't know if you think any differently on that.
No, so it sounds like you kind of like Roth IRAs over I-bonds if you really want to gift to the kids.
Right, yeah. And not that it's wrong to gift an I-bond to the kids.
Not at all, right.
But think about this. Again, let's assume they're 14, 15, no young teenager on things. What's their time horizon, right? Saving money for long term, right? And putting $1,000 away today, and it grows and grows over 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and all that growth comes out tax-free relative to buying an I-bond, which right now has really great interest rates, but, of the last decade or, so did not have very good interest rates. You go, listen, those tax advantages seem to make sense. But it's one of these things to analyze, to know what's the difference and take a look at those and make it your own decision. But I really favor the Roth.
Yeah, and I would say if you do the Roth gifting strategy with your kids or grandkids, that it's a good opportunity to engage about, okay, here's a brokerage account. Now we can invest it in different things. How should we invest it?
Right.
What should we do? And get them involved.
I'm sorry to jump on top of you, Bridget, but we literally just had a client in the last 2 weeks say, listen, my child is, I think, 16 or 17 years old. I'd really like to get him interested in investing. He's got some money saved up. What do we do? What can we do? Can we open up a brokerage account to teach him things? Yes, you can. Listen, if he's got some earned income, why don't we set it up in a Roth IRA? We're going to teach those same things, and yet it's going to be tax deferred and all these tax advantages. It's an exact situation.
Yeah, and the kid can probably open it up on their phone.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So,
and the other thing that I want to just point out is that that doesn't have, so my child earns $1,000, they don't have to put the $1,000 into the Roth IRA. I can write a check. The IRS doesn't care where the money comes from. What we care about is there earned income.
Right.
Was there earned income that shows up on a W-2 or some fashion, gets reported? Yep, then I can do that. Then grandma and grandpa can make that contribution. So we'd have some people similar that say, you know what, I don't want to just give my kid this money or my grandkid this money. I want to instill in them the idea of saving is good. So what we'll do is almost like a 401k match sort of a thing. Listen, if you put in $100, I'll put in $500, right? For every dollar you put in, I'll put in 5. For every dollar you put in, I'll put in 10. But if you don't put any in, you don't get this extra money, right? That incentive to go like, oh no, teaching that the habits of forming and things, that can be a really good place for this as well. That doesn't have anything to do with the IRS or technically what happens, but fundamentally how somebody practically deals with that and helps can be a really great tool for things.
And again, encouraging engagement, and it helps it create a bond. Increase your bond with your child or grandchild.
That's right.
So with that, I think it's a great way to call it. My name is Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm John Shearer. I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. Both Bridget and I are still actively taking on new clients, so we're happy if you reach out there. But we're also members of the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners. If you like what we talk about and we're looking for a planner that thinks similarly who might live in your area, check out acplanners.org.
And please subscribe.